So Jay Wright and company with their 6th win of 20 or more points this season. Now we take you to Miami. Number 6, Louisville at FIU. Adam Alexander, Mike Jaminski.
All right, thank you, Rob, and we welcome those of you that have been watching Villanova run over top of Ryder this afternoon in Philadelphia. We're in Miami, where 6th-ranked Louisville is on the road, and they've hit back-to-back threes to jump out to an early 8-2 advantage over FIU. Louisville's off to a 10-1 start. Under 13th year head coach Rick Pitino, this begins a 23-day road trip. First of 4 consecutive games away from the Yum Center in downtown Louisville.
Well, and the reason why they did that, with all the hype that's coming up with the Louisville-Kentucky game, that he wanted his team to really focus.
Once again, FIU breaks the pressure. Now trying to break down the zone defense being pitched out by Louisville. They've gone to more zone lately. Buckles on the penetration. Frink can't finish, but he draws the foul.
Well, with the rules and the way the game is being refereed this year, you talk to almost every coach, and they're almost compelled to play more zone. And I think especially because of the ability of FIU's big men to put the ball on the floor, it takes a little pressure off of their front line.
Well, you know as well as I do, anyone that's going to be successful deep into the NCAA tournament, you like to be able to do some different things at the defensive end, forcing your opponents to adjust offensively, Mike.
Yeah, and that's, they talk about doing both things well. I mean, you look at this Louisville team, and you talked about the gaudy offensive numbers, and then you look at the defensive numbers. I mean, so far, their margin of victory around the year, 25.7.
Frank, a 72% free throw shooter, makes 1 of 2 here. Cardinals an 8-3 advantage, 3 minutes in South Florida.
They need to get Jerome Frank going. He has been in a little bit of a funk, under double figures his last 5 games. They're going to need him to score in double figures in this game.
Russ Smith on the dunk. Cleaning up the mess on the baseline is Harrell.
Well, there just wasn't a lot of room for him last year, but Montrezl Harrell has really had an outstanding start to the year.
Foul on Smith, applying the pressure. You talk about Harrell, the sophomore from North Carolina. He's doubled his production over a year ago, averaging over 12 points and nearly 9 rebounds.
Yeah, scoring numbers down, but I think overall play much better this year.
No question.
And he's got to do it with a new backcourt, made 2 new backcourt mates, a freshman and junior college transfer from Chris Jones.
Now Terry Rozier also seeing a lot of time in the backcourt, got the start. That last personal foul against Russ Smith was his first, and you mentioned Chris Jones seeing his first action. He did not play a week ago against Western Kentucky due to an injured wrist. Maven on the drive, can't hit the circus shot. And right on cue, Montrezl Harrell has the board. Steal at midcourt, but out of bounds is Dennis Maven. It will stay with the Cardinals.
Well, at least a positive here early, Adam, for Florida International is that they haven't had any turnovers. At least they're getting shots up on the glass.
The zone here from FIU. Jones averaging double figures. The junior college player of the year last season, on top by 4.
Well, talked to Rick Pitino, too. We talked about Rozier and Jones. I mean, he speaks glowingly of those 2 guys, those 2 new guys and key guys for this team. Really impressed with the poise with which they play.
Now, you mentioned earlier the fact that they lost Siva, but they have picked up right where they left off from a production standpoint in the backcourt. Harrell can't hit inside. FIU trying to cut into that 4-point deficit. Buckles can't hit on the follow. And a travel going to be called by Blackshear as he tried to get it and run.
The Actors avoided this game but decided to honor it, and so here we are.
And Richard Pitino in the house tonight, as you saw. He's doing a nice job with a Golden Gopher so far this season.
And who wouldn't want to be in Miami than Minneapolis at this point in the time of the year?
He may not like to hear us say that about recruiting, but you and I like South Florida just fine. Thank you very much.
And that's actually, for the Panthers, if you're going to turn the ball over, you want it to be a dead ball turnover like that, where you get a chance to get back, set your defense. You don't want those turnovers, those pick sixes at half court.
Cardinals forcing over 18 turnovers a game. And a near turnover here by Mathiang, but a whistle and a foul. This one going to go against the Louisville transfer, Rakeem Buckles, who was going to go with Richard Pitino to Minnesota. The transfer waiver didn't come through. He stayed at FIU, and this is where he's playing his senior season after spending 3 years under head coach Rick Pitino.
And it's not always the easiest thing in the world as a senior, with a new coach and everything, but he bought in immediately. There's been no issues at all with him and Anthony Evans.
Luke Hancock in the game. This kid can do it all. Most outstanding player in last year's Final Four. Also seeing Stephen Van Treese, 44 on the inside for the first time. Harrell threw it over top of Van Treese out of bounds.
It's actually Louisville that's been a little bit loose with the basketball here early.
Get the idea, though, in talking to Coach Pitino before the game tonight, he feels very confident and comfortable with where his team is 11 games into the campaign.
And they're starting on this is the start of a 4-game road trip for them before they get into conference play. But he really feels like this time in practice down in South Florida, they're going to stay here actually a couple more days before they go on their Christmas break.
Came down here Wednesday, and as you said, Mike, won't go back until Monday, a couple of days off, and then getting ready for rival Kentucky next Saturday. FIU hanging it early, trailed at 10-3. Right now 10-6. That's Tymel Murphy on the drive. They say it's on the floor. Count the basket. They did count the basket.
And their front line, the Panthers have had relative success putting the ball on the floor. He's a left-handed player. You can't let him beat you that way. Hancock just giving up the basket, and everybody's spread out. So without Mathiang in there, no real shot blocker out on the floor.
Murphy had 23 here a couple of weeks ago against FGCU. His first 3 points of the day coming on that three-point play. 6 straight for FIU. Hancock whistled for that last foul. Here's Jones, the junior college transfer. Hancock to Harrell. Big-time dunk.
He just got lost along the baseline that time, and Pitino talking about Hancock, a relatively slow starter almost every year. That was a great look over the top.
Maven to Frink, up and under, can't finish. And an over-the-back foul going to be whistled here on the point guard, Jason Boswell.
You can see Harrell just kind of lurking right here. Everybody's looking out at the basketball. Nobody paying attention to him. Just all alone, and that is an easy finish.
Great pass, though, over the basket from the opposite side on the lob. Cardinals on top 12-9. Russ Smith, the preseason All-American, off the window and a foul. He hit a 3 earlier and have a chance here to go to the line and make another three-point play and stretch the Louisville lead a little further.
Well, you know what, Adam, and the thing was, after last year, he considered getting into the draft, but they talked about it. They didn't feel like he'd be a first-round pick. So I really think he made a great decision in coming back for his senior year. And how many times do you have an opportunity to defend a national championship as a senior?
How about this? He's only the second preseason All-American in the history of Cardinal basketball. You know who the other one was?
Couldn't tell you. Stumped me.
I'll let you think on that one a little bit, all right? 14-9. Louisville on top by 5. Buckles driving, can't hit. Jurkovic just checked in for Frank, who picked up his second foul. He got the offensive rebound.
Well, and for Jurkovic, not a big-time scorer, but if he can get recycles of possessions, that'll be a big key.
Hancock picks up the foul on a driving Tymel Murphy. That will be his second personal. On our little trivia question, the only other preseason All-American for Louisville, think back to the mid-'80s, right?
Maybe Never Nervous Purvis.
You got it. Yeah. He was a pretty good one, huh?
Yeah, that's the freshman on that 86 national championship team. Mike Krzyzewski's first trip to the Final Four.
Jurkovic just set a huge screen. No whistle on that one. Three-pointer was off.
Wow, I don't know if that was the most illegal play that I've ever seen that was effective.
Blackshear, open three. Got it. Second of the game for Blackshear.
Well, with Blackshear and Bohannon, they really have a couple of seasoned junior wing players, guys who have been to 2 Final Four. This is like a trick to the chiropractor when you get hit like that. And if I'm the guard, I'm going up to the big man who's supposed to be calling that out and giving him a piece of my mind.
Last foul went against Bohannon, his first. FIU trailing it 17-9. Murphy thought about triggering it. Now Boswell tries to set the offense as the shot clock goes down to 12. On the drive, Jurkovic couldn't handle the pass. Shot clock at 5 now. Maven realizes, drives, and is going to be whistled for a charge.
And the way he handled it, the way the team handled it, he continued. He went to Atlanta with the team, supported them. You got to feel like he was a big part of that championship run. And, you know, just a little bit slow coming back. They're going to take some time. He'll probably be out 1 to 2 weeks. But just amazing that he's out on the court.
Yeah, he has been playing this year, but got banged up a little bit the other night against Missouri State, and that's why he's not dressed here tonight. Van Treese had the block. Smith left wide open, and he can't finish, but draws the foul on Jurkovic. He'll get a couple of free throws out of it.
Yeah, see, that's a good example right there of Russ Smith last year might have tried to take a bad shot that time. That time he made the decision to pull it back, but then everybody left him with the ball. So that's a, you know, FIU did a nice job of stopping him, but you got to stay with the guy with the round thing is pretty important.
Yeah, and his numbers this season are outstanding. And you look at the comparison between what he's doing now and what he did a year ago.
Well, the thing is that he's taking much better care of the basketball. Assist to turnover ratio at 2.1, which is outstanding for an off guard.
The one staple of Rick Pitino, that full court pressure, and Van Treese picks up the personal. He was starting early in the year, but they found that he's a much better player off the sideline. Mathiang now the primary post player for Rick Pitino. Dennis Maven, who got a rest, is checked back in the lineup for Anthony Evans, who's done a great job early of rotating players and trying to handle the depth that the Cardinals put on the floor.
Well, only a couple of turnovers. They're not shooting the ball at all right now, but that, like I said, you make your mistakes up on the rim.
2 free throws by Russ Smith made it a 10-point game. Buckles open from distance. Long on the shot, and it's one and done right now for FIU. Jones in transition, right down the boulevard. Had it blocked out of bounds, but he's fouled.
Adam, that's the thing about you. If you take a shot that surprises your teammates, so you put them in a bad position, especially against a team like Louisville, I don't know that group was expecting Buckles to hoist a 3 then. That's just the first pass to a fast break. Really impressed with Jones. He is incredibly fast with the basketball end to end.
Second foul on Buckles. Jones misses the first. Ring in the new year with a full day of Big East basketball on Fox Sports 1 as all 10 teams will be in action for the start of conference play. It all begins noon Eastern time on New Year's Eve, only on Fox Sports 1. 1 of 2 for Chris Jones. His first point of the night comes in averaging over 14. 11 points the advantage for the Cardinals.
Well, the Panthers really need to have some positive possessions here. You get the feeling of this game starting to tip a little bit and start to get away from them some.
The guys in red have scored 10 straight. Maven trying to get aggressive offensively. Matched his career high a couple of weeks ago with 19, but he's out of bounds here, and the Panthers turn it over for the third time tonight.
Well, in this last stretch, Louisville has done a much better job defending off the drive, where guys were getting to the basket in the first 5 minutes of the half. Good help that time.
You know, it's scary if you're an FIU fan, the fact that Louisville scored 10 in a row, but it's been a controlled run. It hasn't been that back-to-back-to-back that they're so known for. Foul here going to go against Murphy. That will be his first, and already the Cardinals in the bonus.
15, Murphy is first. Team foul number 8.
Bohannon at the line. You know, he was suspended a bit in the offseason and the early part of the 13-14 campaign for a violation of team rules, but well, he has come back focused and ready to go.
Right. One thing that Rick Pitino says, he says, you know, when I'm walking through the practice facility and a ball is bouncing, I want it to be Shane Bohannon, but he's just not a gym rat, and that's been an issue with him his first couple of years.
Jorge Jimenez across midcourt. Dominique Williams in the lineup for the first time tonight for FIU.
Jimenez is another guy they really have to get going. Talk about one of their better three-point shooters. He's really struggled over his last 3 or 4.
Right on cue, the left-hander knocks it down. His 19th triple of the season.
Well, both he and Frank have gotten off to decent starts in this game, and it certainly helps when you come out and knock down your first shot off the bench.
That ends a 12-0 run for the Cardinals. And Louisville comes down and turns it right back over to FIU as we look back at the play.
Yeah, you'll see him come off the baseline like that and get a decent look at it. And that's, for a left-handed shooter, when you swing that way, it's much easier to come into rhythm.
Dennis Maven has really been the key guy handling the basketball against the Louisville pressure.
Well, that's a lot to ask. We talked about Boswell, the freshman. It's a lot to ask of him to deal with that. And they know that they can't do that just with one person.
Maven now trying to contribute offensively from beyond the three-point line. Bohannon saves in the corner for Louisville. How about the head fake from Smith, but he lost it on the way up. Murphy going faster than his handle will allow. That's twice of that Jurkovic on the backside of the defense, but he's dropped the ball and unable to handle it. He only plays about 3 minutes a game.
Yeah, and I don't know. That was a tough pass to connect, through a lot of hands. Murphy would have been better served to try to get that one up on the rim, let him have offensive rebounding position. But you're right, there have been a couple of instances where he has not had his hands ready to catch.
Smith on the drive. Use the window, can't knock it down. And the FIU fans do not agree, but the officials say last touched by the Panthers, it will stay Cardinal basketball.
You see the look. It looked like a little bit of a push off that time. That was a very close call, but almost It could have been easily a push on Murphy.
Harrell and Mathiang back in on the baseline for Anthony Evans. For Rick Pitino, rather. Evans brings Buckles back in the lineup for FIU. Rozier left open for three. The freshman can't connect. Fellow freshman Mathiang, yes, and a foul as he goes to the glass and finishes it off.
Well, then he redshirted last year, really worked in practice, put on some weight, came in, was pretty thin, and in many ways will be like Gorgie Dieng. You know, they want to have that same kind of career path, but this is a nice, strong finish inside. A lot of coaches will say, you know, first shot percentage usually around the 40s, second shot usually in the 60s, third shot's usually in the 80s.
Now he's shooting 60% on the season. Is Mathiang.
Well,
completes the three-point play.
You know, probably early on, farther along than Dieng was.
And I mentioned that he wasn't starting early in the year. I think Rick Pitino said this kid's going to learn a lot more if he's in the starting lineup and learning as he goes, and he certainly has caught on. 25-12, 13-point lead for Louisville. Maven on the drive, and a blocking foul going to be whistled underneath on Mathiang. Yeah, you talk about Mathiang. He was born in Africa, grew up in Australia, played 1 year of high school basketball here in the States at a prep school in Carbondale, Illinois. Not highly recruited. Some of the major conference teams were after him, but certainly a good find for Rick Pitino. Here's Maven at the charity stripe.
Well, this is Maven, a double-figure scorer, but one area of his game where he's a liability, only 53% at the free throw line.
National title.
Amazing run, and they had to beat Virginia twice that year, once in the ACC tournament final just to get into the NCAAs, and then a second time in the tournament.
Yeah, that one of the most amazing runs in NCAA tournament history, without a doubt. Cardinals practicing patience against the zone. Blackshear open for three. Can't get the roll on what would have been his third of the game. And Harrell guilty of the foul, his first of the night.
That's been kind of meat and potatoes defense for Louisville so far. Nothing in the open court steals that turn into baskets. Most of the Panthers' turnovers have been dead ball. But really in the half court, they've been solid. 4 of 15 shooting so far for the Panthers.
Yeah, it's not been the steals that have jumped out tonight for Louisville defensively. It's been more their half court defense that has gotten it done.
Plus, on 13 misses, only 2 offensive rebounds for the Panthers, too. So very basic. You make a team miss, clean up the boards, go down the other end.
Boswell with his first point of the night, the true freshman point guard, who, oh, by the way, cousins with Lance Thomas, who played at Duke, and Kyrie Irving, one of the better youngsters in the NBA. Got them both. He's now 16 of 16 from the line this season.
I think that you let this game go on, maybe he gains a little bit more confidence. Anthony Evans gives him a little bit more time.
Nice pump fake. But Blackshear can't hit. The tip, no, but Mathiang able to draw the foul.
Well, at least for Blackshear, that's what you want to make him. You want to turn him into a two-point shooter instead of a three-point shooter. But they're just Cardinals are getting really good offensive rebounding position on misses.
Next, Fox College Hoops continues as Michigan takes on John Hustis and the Stanford Cardinal. Coverage begins next on Fox Sports 1.
Michigan, the final team last year that Louisville had to overcome to win the national championship. Johnny Dawkins getting off to a good start with Stanford.
Yeah, big win the other night. They won at UConn.
8-2 heading into conference play in a little bit.
1 of 2 for Mathiang, stretches the lead back to 13 for the Cardinals. Freshman on freshman here. Rozier and Boswell going at it. Buckles on the drive. Can't finish against his own team. Dominic Williams going after the board, and Rozier undercut him. Going to be whistled for the foul.
Buckles a real struggle so far. 1 of 6 from the floor, trying to put the ball on the floor and drive, but just not finishing around the rim.
Is he pressing a little bit, knowing he's going against his old team, Mike?
Yeah, well, I think it's a sound, to take a big outside. We talked about it. He won't do a lot of posting up. He likes to play 15 feet from the basket, face up, take you off the dribble. But he just, they need him to have get going offensively.
Williams can't hit the front end of the 1-and-1, but Murphy able to rescue him with the offensive board. Buckles can't hit the jumper, but there to clean it up is Williams, his first deuce of the night.
One of the few second chance opportunities they've had.
It's only an 11-point game, and when you consider how FIU has struggled from the field, that's not bad. Harrell driving can't hit, and this time FIU able to get the rebound. Maven in transition, no, but he will go to the line for 2.
And see, that's a shot that surprises your teammate. Montrezl Harrell trying to drive. They had a double high post. Everybody got buried. There was nobody back in transition defensively. And this is a pretty good rush up the floor by Maven. Nobody really stopping the advance of the basketball.
That foul was on Russ Smith, his second of the night. And that what we saw Maven do quite a bit a couple of weeks ago against FGCU when he scored 19 points, get aggressive in transition. But as you mentioned, he struggles from the charity stripe, and he is now 1 of 3 tonight, comes in shooting them at 53%.
Well, and the thing you don't want to have happen, Adam, is if a guy loses confidence in his free throw shooting, he becomes less aggressive. That hasn't happened so far tonight with Maven. He's been attacking the rim, but needs to see the ball go through the basket at the free throw line.
They did change that last foul to Blackshear. It was not on Russ Smith, so Blackshear now has 2. Only 1 for Smith. Maven can't make him pay. Here's Smith from the corner for 3. It'll stay with Louisville. (28-17). Cardinals on top by 11. 5:37 to play in the opening half. Hancock back in the game, and they force a travel on Smith.
Program, and so far is off to an outstanding start his senior year, averaging a double-double, just under 15 points and 10 boards.
First time this game has been in single digits in a while. Louisville is led by as many as 14. Here's Jones. A little quick with the trigger, an air ball. Fans going to let him know about it.
Well, and this is maybe an opportunity for the Panthers. You want to win this 4 minutes going in the stretch. Give yourself a little bit of momentum coming into the second half.
Boswell on the drive, and he carried it. Turns it right back over to the Cardinals.
Those self-inflicted wounds. We talked about the low turnover so far, but those are the ones that hurt you. They really gave him, they flattened everybody out and gave him some room to move.
Each team has now turned it over a half dozen times.
I think if you're Anthony Evans, you can live with that right now.
Nice pass down low by Harrell, but Bohannon had it knocked away. And here comes Maven on the run again. Swatted out of bounds. Montrezl Harrell can do so many things so well at both ends of the floor.
Just a freakish athlete, and look at this recovery trying to go with the left hand. And well, the only thing that you'd want there is if you could keep it in bounds and trigger a break, but still, it really helps your perimeter defense if you've got guys like that inside that can protect the rim.
Clock rolling down toward 4 minutes to play, opening half. Shot clock at 10. Maven got to get it up. Going to hoist a three. Why not? 5-point game.
What a bailout on a possession that was going nowhere. 34 seconds elapsed on the shot clock, and he bails him out with a three.
10-1 run for FIU to cut the lead for Louisville down to 5. Harrell, great hands, great pass. Bohannon with a finish.
Boy, he can be a beast inside. 59 dunks last year, so he finishes above the rim. Credit Harrell, he was getting attacked by 3 different guys, and he was still able to make that interior pass.
Yeah, if Harrell doesn't go to the NBA as a power forward, maybe tied in the National Football League will work out for number 24. Murphy on the spin. Up and in over top of Hancock.
You look at Tyler Murphy. That's
to play here in our opening half. This a big segment of the game if you're a Panther fan.
No question about it. You've worked this hard. You're 5 points in. You want to, again, we talked about winning segments. You want to win this segment of the game as well. 2 numbers, Adam, that jump out at me. No fast break points for Louisville at this point, and only 5 points off turnovers.
And FIU on this run has made 5 of their last 9 field goals, Mike. Excuse me.
Yeah, a couple of bailout threes, but still they needed to have some confidence offensively.
Harrell, a 54% free throw shooter, knocks down the first one here. He's got 5 points on the night. I think regardless, make or miss in this situation, you've got to feel good, only trailing by 7 with 2:48 to go if you're FIU. 1 of 2 for Harrell. It's good he missed the second one for the Panthers. That way they don't have to face as much pressure off the inbound full court. Well, Chris Jones will flat get after you defensively. Boswell wanted Buckles, nothing there. Shot clock down to 8.
Nice job of Hancock digging in and denying the pass.
Here's Williams. Good half-court defense by the Cardinals. 1 and done for FIU.
Well, you can see only 1 white jersey on the offensive glass for the Panthers.
How about the inside-outside work? It leads to a Jones 3, and he left it short. Offensive rebound. Harrell won't go. Maven going the distance, and a foul out on the floor. We'll see if they got Harrell or Smith.
Well, Anthony Evans talked about other people advancing the ball to the floor, and Dennis Maven has really done a good job with that time. The bigs for Louisville not back, so he saw that opening.
Foul this time going to be whistled against Luke Hancock, his 3rd personal. Double bonus time for FIU, but Maven once again unable to take advantage at the charity stripe.
That's the big issue, that the Panthers are really leaving points at the line at 5 of 11 at this point.
Now Maven himself now 1 of 5. Your guards have got to be able to connect from the free throw line. That's 2 tonight that he's had roll in and out. Missed opportunity for the Panthers, who trail it by 6 with just under 2 minutes to play first half. First look of the night at Tim Henderson. Walking on guard that was so big for the Cardinals in the Final Four last year. Jones to Smith on the penetration. Three-pointer is good.
This is a championship caliber team, and they're not going to get flustered. They're starting to make a mini run, and when we talked about it, with the 2.5-minute mark.
Maven trying to answer. This three-pointer is off. Big offensive board for Williams, who left it short on the return, and it goes out of bounds, and it will stay with FIU. Russ Smith has 12, but it's been quiet tonight for the preseason All-American.
Yeah, I mean, there were times last year where he could have been the MVP for both teams with his shot selection. But there you see the look right there. I mean, that's just, too open.
That balloons the lead back up to 9. 34-25. Cardinals have regained control. 1 minute to play first half. Panthers have gotten very patient in the half court offensively. Buckles walk with it.
Matthew Yang, a nice job. He's long enough where he can give you some space and quick enough, and they did a much better job that time of containing Buckles. We talked about him wanting to face up and put the ball on the floor.
At the 7th turnover of the night for the Panthers. Jones again penetrating. This time it's Henderson open for three. He connects. His first basket of the night, and the lead is once again double figures. A 12-point advantage for the Cardinals with a half-minute to play.
Areas you talked about him last year, a walk-on, and Ware gets injured, and all of a sudden, okay, we're in the Final Four, Tim. You got to go out and get us a few baskets, and he really stepped up. Well, in this year, he scored 20 points, only 4 field goal attempts in the game so far.
We mentioned off the top when we last saw FIU here 2 weeks ago, their last game against Florida Gulf Coast. He had 23 points, really had it working, but has struggled so far here tonight.
Well, and we talked about how important that stretch was. I think these first 4 minutes of the second half were critical for the Panthers, and Anthony Evans had to repair their psyche a little bit at the halftime.
Jerome Frank can be a catalyst in the comeback. He's now got 5 points. Spent a lot of time on the sideline with 2 personal fouls early, as the Panthers deflected out of bounds on the Cardinals' first possession. A little bit cliched to say, but this first 5 minutes could be huge for FIU. Blackshear can't hit the long one, and Maven drops it out of bounds. There have been some missed opportunities.
Yeah, and just a killer. But you look at none of the numbers are overwhelming. I mean, the second chance opportunities the same. Points off turnovers the same. Only 2 fast break points for Louisville. But just shooting the basketball, you got to have more confidence shooting the ball in your own gym.
Jones gets the start at guard in the second half. Setting up Smith, who hits the triple, his 3rd of the game.
Got incredible depth, and again, when they make shots, it allows them to pressure up the floor.
That pressure really has not resulted in any big opportunities for Louisville tonight. FIU's done a nice job in the full court against that defense the Cardinals are known for.
And Dennis Maven has been the primary ball handler in this game, as opposed to Boswell, the freshman.
Lead at 15, and a 5-second call out front.
Well, here's the look, the drive and the spot up, and that he's a guy you really, it's tough to help off of him. You got to stay at home, but that's what that dribble drive caused.
Can he go back to back this time, in and out?
Well, he's going to check and see how big the basket is, that's for sure.
Rick Pitino will never have any anxiety over him hoisting one from deep. This lead for Louisville, their largest of the game. Buckles on the drive, count the basket. Matthew goaltending.
Really gave him the side to clear out to go to that right hand. And normally in front of the rim like that, even if it is a block, and that one you could argue was close, normally the offensive player will get the call.
7 points now for Buckles, the Louisville transfer. And the Cardinals turn it over. Lead at 13. Cardinals were on top by 14 at the break. Buckles trying to drive it again through the double team, nearly turned it over. It will stay with FIU, but only 10 seconds on the shot clock for the Panthers.
When you get a guard coming to double like that, like Jones, it's very tough for a big guy to break through without the dribble. FIU very lucky they didn't get a turnover.
Boswell with 3 to shoot, lost it in the corner, just fires one up, and it will be a shot clock violation as this one comes up shy of the rim. So Buckles unable to get that one from the corner.
We talk about the shooting percentage for the Panthers, and this may be in Louisville the best defensive team in the country. So they can make you look bad, and that was not a good possession.
Now that was the reason they were so good in that first half, is the half-court defense. And here a nice execution in the half-court offensively for the Cardinals. Murphy picks up the personal foul. And Blackshear going to be the beneficiary, and it's all about that penetration out front. That was a third foul whistled against Murphy.
Blackshear really has battled health issues throughout his first couple of years, but really healthy this year.
That free throw for Blackshear is 9th point of the game, and if he converts on this one, it will be the 4th straight game he's gone to double figures. Got them both. 10 points for Wayne Blackshear. And the lead back up to 15. Here's a seasoned veteran on a young rookie. Shot clock at 15. Frank going to try for his second three-pointer of the game, and this time it rims out.
And, Boswell's there's a big size difference between him and Smith. Maybe try to get something with him down in the low box.
Smith on the jump stop, blocked shot by Buckles, and a foul going to be called. He went up high with Harrell, and it was an incredible pass from Smith.
Oh, yeah, and maybe got away with a travel on that play, but good look inside. That's a pretty clean block, too.
Well, if you're Anthony Evans, you have a little bit of concern because, as you see here, Buckles has got 3 personals, and the same for Tymel Murphy early in this second half.
Yeah, well, you can maybe buy him a little time. You get under the 16-minute timeout, and then Djurkovic coming in to give him a little bit of a breather. But if this game starts to get a little bit more out of shape, you don't know if you can live with him on the bench, then you may have to take a chance and let him play with 3 fouls.
Harrell gets 1 of 2. Lead at 16, largest of the evening for Louisville. Criswell on the fake, little penetration, dumps it off to Jurkovic, who can't handle the pass. And the turnover gives it right back to Louisville.
Yeah, and that's been an issue with him receiving passes inside and maybe not being prepared.
Third time tonight we've seen penetration, trying to get it to Jurkovic, and he's unable to catch and finish. Blackshear on the drive.
5% winning percentage in the tournament. And the one at the bottom is really impressive. 26 former assistant players or coaches have gone on to become head coaches. It's a coaching forest. It's not a coaching tree.
Blackshear knocks down the three, extending the lead to 48-29, largest advantage of the night.
When you think about that, winning a national championship at Louisville and at Kentucky, that's like winning a championship at Duke and at Carolina.
A lot of people in the Bluegrass have wondered how you could coach at both schools and be right with yourself. They renew their rivalry next Saturday afternoon. Big block out of bounds by Harrell.
That's what Anthony Evans has done. He bought Buckles a little bit of time in that TV timeout. So now keep an eye on him. As a senior, you'd expect he's a guy who understands his situation and his ability to play with 3 fouls.
And you got to be careful if you're FIU, because we know how quickly the Cardinals can put points on the board. Buckles nearly turned it over with the shot clock going down, shoots a fadeaway. And on the scramble, a tie-up going to be called, and the possession arrow will give it back to the Cardinals. With the basketball, and you look at second half turnovers, FIU has now coughed it up 6 times in the first 5+ minutes of this second half. Only 1 for Louisville, and that's a big statement and something we were concerned about on FIU side coming in.
Well, and I thought they did a good job. They only had 7 turns the whole first half. So Cardinals turning up the pressure a little bit.
FIU went on that run to cut it to 5 late in the first half. Since that time, the Cardinals have scored 18 of the game's last 22 points. Russ Smith driving, trying to find Blackshear. Great catch. In and out on the 3. Murphy on the penetration. Sets up Maven, who knocks down his second 3 of the night.
Blackshear injured on that player, coming up limping a little bit. I don't know if he landed. Looks like he's in some significant pain. Nice little dump behind, and early on, Dennis Maven a little reluctant to take that shot, but was so wide open he had to.
And when he first went down, I thought he might have been favoring his left ankle.
It was his left knee.
Then he grabbed his left knee. Good to see him limping to the sideline. There was some traffic inside the 3-point arc where Murphy penetrated. That 3-pointer by Maven makes it a 16-point game. 13 and a half to play. Here's Hancock. Why not? He can stroke it, although he struggled early this year.
Yeah, and Rick Pitino said it's like a guy who comes into spring training a little out of shape in baseball, kind of works his way through April into the warmer weather. But nothing wrong with his game in March. He's the most outstanding player last year in the tournament.
A guy that is definitely ready when the money is on the line. Buckles with a turnover, traveling on the wing. Let's go back and look at Blackshear on that last play in transition.
Right in here, you see this. Yeah, it looked like he just banged into Rozier on that play.
Yeah, you like to see when it's contact. A bruise much better than the alternative when it comes to the knee. Rozier from the corner knocks down a 3. His first points of the night.
Well, you see Rick Pitino's eyes light up when he talks about both Terry Rozier and Chris Jones. Two guys that are going to have to fill big shoes of Peyton Sievas.
And Rozier, a true freshman that has come in and really found his way early and not afraid to get on the floor. Murphy wins this loose ball. The drive not going for Maven. Williams back up, can't finish. Buckles finally off the glass for two. Smith coast to coast behind the back, and Hancock didn't know what to do with it.
But here's the thing. I mean, this is what you can't do against Louisville. Even on a made basket, you have to get back. And Panthers were very fortunate on that possession. They get a turnover.
Cardinal lead at 20 as we close on 12 minutes to play here in the second half. Thank you, Rob. That would have been Carolina's third non-conference loss at home this year, Mike.
But at least, Adam, I think there's some closure for that program now with the Harrison McDonald thing.
Yep.
Put to rest. Leslie McDonald back, actually played in that game, came off the bench, did a little bit of scoring. P.J. Harrison's career over at North Carolina, but at least now they know what they have going forward.
Of course, the marquee win for the Tar Heels this season, that victory over Louisville last month.
You shoot 54% against this team. You're running some offense. They didn't turn the ball over.
That's the only team that has been able to solve the problem that is U of L. 1 of 2 for Hancock, the lead up to 21.
All of their field goals in the second half behind the arc.
The drive, draws the block.
Frustrating night so far for him, just trying to make something, try to find and create his own offense.
It's only the first foul of this second half whistled against Louisville. Mathiang goes out. Van Treese back in for Rick Pitino. Murphy bobbled, but gathers and finishes on the inbound. His first 2 of the second half.
A little lapse defensively for Louisville that time. They forgot where Murphy was, and he got a direct pass from the baseline on an out-of-bounds play.
Don't see easy opportunities off the inbound very often against Louisville. Hancock unable to knock down his second triple here of our second 20-minute period. The lead stays at 19. Second straight trip that FIU's gotten aggressive offensively, pays dividends.
Hancock, a little bit of a weak wave that time, didn't support the drive.
It was Van Treese that got the personal. Rozier able to knock it out of bounds on the inbound play. Bohannon had his long arms in the way as well. It's tough when you're Dennis Maven at 6'3" to inbound over top of 6'6" Shane Bohannon.
You talk about North Carolina. That's what Roy Williams always does. Has a tall guy on the inbounder. Try to make it tough. Cut down on the vision.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Murphy had it knocked away on the drive.
There's just been, Adam, very few easy opportunities for Florida International in this game. Everything has been a grind and a struggle.
Louisville has showed me tonight they can win a lot of different ways. Here's a steal out front. Bohannon on the reception, and he can't dunk it home. He draws the foul. Maven got him.
Well, that's kind of a classic look of what Louisville does. You get that pass to the wing and the overplay and then the kick out. This was a nice effort to try to get back, but that is what that's where Louisville shines.
That foul on Maven is going to be his fourth. And Bohannon going to get 2 shots here, and Louisville will get the ball. Bohannon only a 42% free throw shooter. Connects on 1 of 2 here. So why do you foul him in this situation? Because you don't want this to happen. Look out below.
We talked about it. He is 4th on the all-time list for dunks at Louisville, and unbelievable finish right there.
Nice pass on the inbound. Rozier can't finish, but Murphy guilty now of his 4th personal.
Well, like most great teams, Louisville has almost as many free throws made on the season as their opponents have attempted.
They've attempted 85 more free throws coming into tonight's game than their opponents.
Well, it's amazing how you look at snippets of game, and we'll go back again to that from the 2:40 mark into the first half, how Louisville really set this game apart. And right now, FIU definitely needs something. They need a stretch or run like this to get back into this game.
The 2 free throws for Rozier give him 5. And FIU turns it over again with 10:03 to play. The lead at its largest point, 58-36. Cardinals on top by 22 now.
And they've gotten into their full court pressure a lot more in this second half. Free throws, made field goals. They've turned the pressure up a little bit.
Rozier left open on the baseline, dribbled away from trouble. Van Treese can't hit on the follow. And a foul going to be called on Bohannon as he tried to pull down another offensive rebound. Good news, if you're FIU, you draw the foul. Bad news, you got to face full court pressure again.
Yep, and then calling it right out. Great teams have a sense of when they think they can put a game away. And this is their pressure is almost a war of attrition. Where it shows up is in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Well, if you've got a lead on Louisville, it's never over the way they play defense and shoot the 3. But conversely, they do have a killer instinct. Patino's teams always have. Frank, trying to follow his own miss, draws the foul. You know, he's battled some foul trouble tonight, but I think his aggressiveness a little more along the lines of what Anthony Evans wants out of a sophomore forward.
Well, he's got the only thing close to being a post presence in this game for the Panthers so far.
Tomorrow, Big East basketball presented by New York Life Insurance Company returns as Eastern Washington takes on Seton Hall, followed by Cal squaring off against the Creighton Blue Jays. Coverage begins 5 p.m. Eastern time on your home for Big East basketball, Fox Sports 1.
The special players, senior Doug McDermott, All-American, preseason All-American, been a great player for a long time. It seems like he's been one of those guys been playing for 5 or 6 years.
And playing for his dad.
Yep.
Special connection there. Frank made both free throws, now 20 points. Panther Ball Club, there are 2 guys that always jump out in the stat sheet, Buckles and Murphy. Unfortunately, their production is down tonight against the Cardinals.
Well, you look at Buckles, 4 of 12 shooting. The thing about Murphy, he's not even getting attempts at him. Only 3 of 5 so far in this game. This guy's your leading scorer, 16 points a game. And they've effectively just shut him down.
Cardinals do 2 things well. Shoot the 3 and force turnovers. Second half tonight, 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. And 10 times FIU has turned it over. here in the first 11+ minutes of the second half. Mathiang looking for his first point of the second half. You see the stat line here, 4.6 boards. And he missed them both. Buckles with the left hand in the open floor. Had it blocked away by Mathiang. Here comes Jones on the push. To Hancock, who will go to the line.
Nice job, Mathiang. Usually a shot blocker, not comfortable out on the floor defending, but he forced Buckles to go to his offhand. That's a much easier shot to block, and that triggers the break.
Hancock scored 4 points, all of them coming here in this second half. Misses the first of 2 free throws. You go back in time to last spring when he really made a name for himself in the Final Four.
Yeah, that's the first non-starter to win that award coming off the bench. 1,000-point scorer, started his career at George Mason, transferred over and gets himself a ring and a chance at another one.
And he doesn't just get it done on the court. He was the homecoming king in the fall. He can do it off the court as well.
And I think very much a leader on this team. I mean, there were a couple of summer meetings guys were late to, and he called them out. And rare for a guy on the bench to do that. But when you're an MOP of the tournament, you can speak your mind.
Aggressive defense by Jones, and too aggressive. He picks up the personal. That's his first foul of the game.
Coming off a wrist injury, had a little bit of a sprained wrist that kept him out of some.
Yeah, didn't play against Western Kentucky, but many anticipated he would also miss the game earlier this week against Missouri State. But he was back, came off the bench. You see that right wrist is taped. Wasted no time fitting in with Louisville after a couple of years at the junior college level. Boswell, nice drive and dish. Frank able to get 2 more. Bohannon bails out Jones, and Mathiang able to finish underneath.
He looks like he's got some solid skills inside, and really he can play off of penetration, off the offensive glass, but that time had his hands ready. Made a good catch and finish.
Maven got himself in the corner, turned it over. Hancock the steal. Coast to coast, lays it in.
Well, you get caught with a dead trouble right there, and it's almost better to take the 5-second count and get back defensively than it is. They did a decent job, but again, Louisville wears you down, and as that happens, you get a little bit more careless with the ball. And right now, they're the Panthers' season-low scoring 59 points against Villanova, but that's very much in jeopardy. They're going to have to hustle to make that mark.
New face in the lineup, Anton Gill, another true freshman they really like. Rozier, lob, Bohannon hammers it home.
Yeah, it's tough to pick. You marvel at them and what they do offensively, and then you marvel what they do down at the other end of the floor. And I touched on at the beginning of the show that this year so far, their margin of victory, they're number 1 in the NCAA at 25.7, but that's a great look by Rozier.
You know, it's unselfish. I mean, I'll tell you, they are not worried about who's filling the stat sheet. Rozier, I think, got bumped in the mouth on that contact, so he goes out. Ball will stay with FIU.
As we talk about their defense, the Panthers have 3 assists in the game.
Wow.
So far. They just don't let you run your offense.
Well, it says a lot.
And now that number is up to 5, but still. That's 5 assists on 15 made field goals.
It says a lot about this team knowing what's coming next on the road at Kentucky to be able to go to South Florida and take care of business. Buckles draws the foul. He'll go to the line with FIU trailing by 25 as you look at the slate straight ahead for Rick Pitino and company.
Well, that's one of the reasons he's staying down here is he wanted to get his team away from all the craziness up in Kentucky with that game coming up on the 19th. This is the start of 4 games away from home before they start a conference schedule.
So they played at home earlier this week against Missouri State. They'll go 23 days before they play at home again. That's the longest stretch since the early 80s for the Louisville program. 2 of those games that we just saw are going to be conference games on the road. Nice pass. Smith, wide open 3. Not surprising. He knocks it down. He's hit 4 triples tonight.
The way you break up zone, stretch him out a little bit, move the ball from one side of the floor to the other, a long direct pass. Smith has had a number of open looks in this game.
Buckles thought about the 3, instead drives it.
And I think, you know, his connection with Louisville, they're maybe a little trying to do too much in this game. You know, really wanting to have a good performance.
Buckles here on the baseline. This time going to try the jumper. It's an air ball. Easiest rebound of the night for Bohannon.
There's a fair catch on a punt.
Numbers here tonight, 18 points, 3 assists, and he's been great shooting the ball from long range. 200 steals in his career. That's 8th on the all-time list at Louisville. Smith really is a do-it-all kid for Rick Pitino, and doesn't hurt to have under his belt a national championship. That will pay big dividends down the stretch this season.
One thing the Panthers have not been able to do is take advantage of Boswell's size. Playing against some smaller guards out there, they've not been able to get him anything inside, or he's not been able to penetrate and use his size in the lane.
But it's a route you have to think about going, because here's a big kid. He hadn't missed a free throw all season long, and a lot of positive things can happen if he gets the ball into the paint. Buckles drew the foul there, and he completes the front end of the 1-and-1. We got a real good one coming up next. Stanford and Michigan. You mentioned the fair catch on a punt a minute ago. This seems more like a Rose Bowl matchup than college basketball as we head toward the new year. That should be a good one on the hardwood, though.
And they're Michigan really missing Trey Burke and Hardaway Jr., you know, 2 big components of that team last year, especially Burke, the guy who ran the show.
Gus Johnson, Bill Raftery on the call. Frank picks up the personal. Michigan off to a 6-4 start. Of course, they played for the national championship last year, but that record a little bit deceiving.
Yeah, they've played a quality schedule. Those losses, those teams are pretty stout, and Stanford got some good balance to their offense.
Now Johnny Dawkins, 4 players averaging over 11 points a game, and you saw there the marquee win they had the other night on the road against UConn. Jones gets 1 of 2. Cardinals come in averaging 86 points a game. Their advantage right now, 27, 74-47 with just over 4 minutes to play. Boswell off on the 3. And Bohannon trying to save it. Going to be whistled for a travel. Maven comes back in. Head coach Anthony Evans is not able to find the personnel he needs to get it done against Louisville tonight. Buckles short arms this one, but Murphy able to put it back in.
You know what, Adam, it's funny that a lot of the players for FIU made mention of the fact of wishing they could play this game a little bit sooner after that great performance against Florida Gulf Coast. You know, get a little bit more momentum. 2 weeks is a long time off.
Murphy goes the distance, and this is going to be an opportunity for a three-point play. Goaltending whistled, and there was also a foul called on Chris Jones. So Murphy, who has been quiet, an opportunity to put 5 quick ones on the board for the Panthers.
Well, that's the thing I'll mention again, that it's not the fact that he's had a poor shooting night. It's not, he hasn't even been able to touch the ball.
Man, so many different weapons defensively for Rick Pitino as Murphy completes the three-point play. They have a way about them when it comes to shutting down an opponent,
especially the leading scorer of the other team. And you know, for Murphy, that was only his 5th field goal attempt of the game, first one of the second half.
Jones off balance jumper. Left it short. Van Treese takes it away. Jones shuffling. Three-point basket is good for Rozier.
Well, when Russ Smith leaves, that's going to be your backcourt of the future for Louisville. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah, they say when the scouts come into practice, Rozier puts on a show. They love how smooth he operates. Nice pass here, setting up Jones, who can't hit the triple. Murphy going the distance and laying it in. He scored 7 straight himself. All right, thanks, Rob. Just under 3 minutes to play here. 77-54. Cardinals of Louisville leading FIU by 23. Led by 5 late in the first half. Cardinals closed on a 9-0 run, and they have been in charge ever since. And just as you and I talked about the lack of opportunities for Tymel Murphy, he has become the catalyst late in the game for the Panthers. Well, if you're Anthony Evans, this loss is going to drop you to 8-5. Next up, next Saturday, on the road against Georgetown. They've played a nice non-conference schedule. Yep. And for a first-year head coach playing a freshman point guard, I think they've got to take every opportunity to grow, and they're doing that.
No question about it. And it helps them for getting ready to go into conference play. Take on those 2 opponents. Georgetown really got it handed to them. That's Fog today, Fog Allen, and Kansas. Never easy to play at home.
Mentioned Murphy for FIU. He's now scored the last 9 points after those free throws. Gill from the corner knocks down a 3, and that's what he can do. Doesn't play a lot, but they love his stroke.
Yeah, no, smooth left-hander. And as the games are now, this is time on the floor is gold for all these guys.
And he was a high school teammate of Terry Rozier, so if they get in together, they should know how to operate. Buckles off on the jumper. Gill showing he can do more than just shoot. A little fake and lay it off the glass. He draws the foul. So in a 30-second segment, we found out that Gill can shoot it, he can rebound it, and he's a jet going coast to coast. Cardinals going to move their record to 11-1 on the campaign.
And Gill's gotten a little more time over the last 3 games or so. And talked to Rick Pitino before, and of course Billy Minardi's, which is one of his best friends, dying in the 9/11 incident, but so instrumental in his life, and especially the philosophy of the last couple of years, where he really says, "I'm just taking things one day at a time, 1 week at a time." That's his focus, and that's been the mantra for the last couple of years. He's got 2 Final Fours to show for it, a national championship, a Hall of Fame induction, and that's how he's living his life now. He's written a book about it. He said more for himself than for anybody as a reminder of that.
Van Treese on the lay-in. You asked him about down the road the move to the ACC next season. He said, I got to be honest with you, I can't even think about tomorrow.
Yeah, or this week. And I'm thinking about Florida International right now, and yeah, it has been quite a few years for Louisville for sure.
And you think about it, it's not just Rick Pitino and the men's basketball team that delivered the national championship. Their women had a great run throughout March.
Baseball team to the World Series.
Absolutely.
Won a bowl championship too.
It's been a good time to be a Cardinal fan, no question about it. And several Cardinal fans here tonight. A lot of red at the U.S. Century Bank Arena.
Well, why not? If you're going to play an away game, if I'm going to look on the schedule, I'm coming to Miami. Come down here for a couple of days and hang out.
Frank, who started the game strong, got in some foul trouble. Been slowed. Jurkovic going to put up a three. Back irons out. That's Tim Henderson who runs down the rebound. Gill got it to Harrell. And I'll tell you what, Harrell has got great hands for a big man. That one kind of got away from him. He gathers, lays it off the glass. Clock winding down on FIU.